Imagine. You wake up tomorrow, and someone deposits $1 billion into your bank account. What would you do with it? Most people would invest in the next Tesla, the next OpenAI, or the next AI startup that's supposed to change the world. Because that's what we've been taught. That the biggest fortunes are created by taking the biggest risks. But here's the shocking part. Many of the world's richest billionaires do the exact opposite. They don't chase the next big thing. Instead, they buy businesses so boring. Most people don't even notice they exist. Garbage collection, uniform rentals, industrial paint, storage units, termite inspections. None of these businesses go viral. None make headlines. Yet some quietly generate billions of dollars every single year. So here's the real question. Why do the smartest investors avoid exciting startups and keep buying boring businesses instead? Because hidden behind these ordinary companies is one investment strategy that has quietly created some of the biggest fortunes in history. And once you understand it, you'll never look at business the same way again. The startup illusion. To understand why, we first need to expose the biggest lie most people believe about building wealth. Every year, millions of entrepreneurs dream about creating the next billion-dollar startup. Investors flood Silicon Valley searching for the next Facebook, the next Uber, the next Airbnb. Media headlines celebrate founders raising hundreds of millions before they've even made a profit. Success stories dominate social media. What almost nobody talks about are the thousands of startups that quietly disappear. For every company that becomes worth billions, hundreds fail. Some run out of money. Some never find customers. Others burn through investor cash trying to grow faster than they can survive. Failure isn't the exception. It's actually the normal outcome. Yet people keep chasing startups because the winners receive all the attention. It's called survivorship bias. We only remember the companies that succeeded, not the thousands that disappeared. And that's exactly where billionaire investors think differently. They aren't trying to become famous. They're trying to own businesses that keep making money, year after year. Because in the world of investing, those are two very different goals. The billionaire mindset. Imagine two businesses. Business A promises that maybe, just maybe, it could become worth $100 billion someday. But there's a very high chance it completely fails. Business B isn't exciting. Nobody talks about it. It grows only 6% every year. But it has been making money consistently for the last 40 years. Which one would you choose? Most people instinctively pick business A, because humans naturally overvalue exciting possibilities. But billionaires often choose business B. Why? Because once you've already accumulated significant wealth, your biggest goal changes. It's no longer about getting rich. It's about staying rich. Losing $1 billion hurts far more than making another billion feels good. That's why the world's greatest investors become obsessed with one thing: predictability. Predictable customers. Predictable revenue. Predictable profits. Predictable cash flow. If a business can reliably generate money every month, year after year, decade after decade, it becomes incredibly valuable, even if nobody finds it interesting. The psychology of wealth. Why billionaires think differently. If boring businesses make so much money, then why doesn't everyone invest in them? Why do millions of people continue chasing startups that have a high chance of failing? The answer isn't found in economics. It's found in human psychology. Because our brains weren't designed to maximize wealth. They were designed to chase excitement. And billionaires understand this better than anyone. Humans are addicted to excitement. Imagine you're given two investment opportunities. The first is a company that manufactures industrial pipes. It has grown steadily for 35 years. It earns hundreds of millions of dollars every year. Almost nobody has heard of it. The second is a flashy AI startup. It has an incredible founder, amazing presentations, millions of followers on social media, news articles everywhere. But it hasn't made a single dollar in profit. Which one feels more exciting? For most people, the answer is obvious. The startup. Not because it's the better business, but because our brains naturally confuse attention with value. Psychologists call this the novelty bias. We're drawn to new things. New technology, new ideas, new opportunities. It's the same reason people line up overnight to buy the newest phone. Even when last year's model works perfectly. Our brains reward novelty with dopamine. And investing is no different. The media doesn't reward boring. Now think about the business news you see every day. Headlines celebrate billion-dollar funding rounds. The newest AI breakthrough. The hottest startup in Silicon Valley. A founder becoming the world's youngest billionaire. But when was the last time you saw a headline like, local waste collection company increases profit by 8% for the 27th consecutive year? Probably never. Because boring doesn't generate clicks. Drama does. The media isn't lying. It's simply showing us the most exciting stories. But excitement isn't always where the money is. In fact, the businesses receiving the least attention are often quietly producing the most consistent profits. That's one reason experienced investors learn to ignore headlines. They focus on financial statements instead. Warren Buffett's biggest lesson. One of the greatest investors in history, Warren Buffett, has repeated the same idea for decades. He doesn't look for businesses that are fashionable. He looks for businesses that people will still need 10 or 20 years from now. Think about it. People drank soft drinks 50 years ago. They still do today. People bought insurance decades ago. They still do today. People needed electricity, railroads, banking, consumer products. And they still do. These businesses may never become viral on social media, but they continue generating billions in cash. That's exactly why Buffett built much of his fortune by buying companies with predictable earnings instead of chasing the latest trend. His strategy wasn't exciting. It was repeatable. And over time, repeatability beats excitement. The power of predictability. Imagine owning two businesses. The first earns $10 million every year. No surprises. No dramatic swings. Customers keep coming back. The second earns nothing for 5 years. Then suddenly has a chance to become worth billions. Which business would a billionaire prefer? Many people assume billionaires love taking huge risks. The reality is often the opposite. Once you've built substantial wealth, protecting it becomes more important than gambling for more. Predictable income creates freedom. It allows investors to buy more companies, reinvest profits, and survive economic downturns without panic. That's why cash flow is often called the lifeblood of a business. Without it, even exciting companies can collapse. With it, even ordinary businesses can become extraordinary investments. The hidden advantage of boring. Here's something most people never notice. The more boring a business is, the less competition it often has. Think about it. Thousands of entrepreneurs dream about building the next social media app. Very few dream about owning a company that cleans commercial buildings, or supplies uniforms to hospitals, or repairs industrial equipment, or manages waste collection. That means fewer competitors, more loyal customers, and often higher long-term profits. While everyone else is chasing the spotlight, these companies quietly dominate industries that most people ignore. And that's exactly where many billionaire investors find opportunity. Because when nobody is paying attention, prices are often more reasonable, and value becomes easier to find. So, what exactly makes these so-called boring businesses so powerful? Why can a company that rents uniforms, collects trash, or inspects buildings become worth billions of dollars? The answer lies in one simple concept: recurring cash flow. It's the financial engine behind some of the richest companies in America. And once you understand how it works, you'll understand why billionaires keep buying businesses that everyone else overlooks. The billion-dollar secret behind boring businesses. At first glance, a company that collects garbage, rents work uniforms, or kills termites doesn't sound like the kind of business that creates billionaires. There's nothing glamorous about it. No viral product launches. No celebrity CEOs. No futuristic technology. Yet some of these companies have quietly outperformed many of the world's most famous startups. So, what's their secret? The answer is surprisingly simple. Recurring cash flow. Money that never stops coming. Imagine you own a coffee shop. Every morning you hope customers walk through the door. If they don't, you earn nothing. Now imagine a completely different business. You rent uniforms to 5,000 companies. Every month, those companies pay you automatically. Whether the economy is booming or slowing down, whether the news is good or bad, the money keeps arriving. That's recurring revenue. And billionaires absolutely love it, because predictable income removes uncertainty. Instead of wondering if customers will return, they already know they will. The business becomes easier to plan, easier to expand, and far more valuable. That's why investors often pay premium prices for companies with subscription-like income. Predictability creates confidence, and confidence creates value. Businesses that customers can't leave. Now imagine you're running a large hospital. Every employee wears professional uniforms. Every week, thousands of uniforms must be cleaned, delivered, and replaced. Could the hospital suddenly stop using uniforms? Of course not. Changing suppliers would be expensive, time-consuming, and disruptive. This creates what's called customer stickiness. Once a customer signs a long-term contract, they're likely to stay for years. The same thing happens with waste collection companies. An office building can't simply stop collecting trash. Restaurants can't stop removing waste. Factories can't ignore industrial cleaning. These aren't luxury services. They're necessities, which means customers rarely cancel. That's exactly the type of stability billionaire investors search for. Pricing power, the hidden wealth machine. Here's another secret. Imagine your internet bill increases by $2 next month. You'll probably notice. You might complain. But will you really cancel your internet over $2? Probably not. The same thing happens in boring industries. If a waste management company increases prices by 3%, most businesses simply pay it, because switching providers often costs more than accepting the increase. Now multiply that small increase across millions of customers. Suddenly, a tiny price adjustment creates hundreds of millions of dollars in additional revenue, without finding a single new customer. This is called pricing power, and it's one of the most valuable advantages any business can have. Companies with pricing power can quietly grow profits year after year, even when overall economic growth slows. That's why billionaire investors pay close attention to businesses with loyal customers and essential services. The magic of compounding. Now, let's imagine two different companies. The first becomes wildly popular overnight. Its revenue doubles, then falls, then doubles again. The second grows only 8% every single year. Nothing spectacular. No headlines. No hype. Which company becomes larger after 20 years? Most people instinctively choose the first. But history often tells a different story. Because consistent growth compounds, an extra 8%, year after year, eventually becomes enormous. This is one of the most misunderstood ideas in investing. People overestimate dramatic success and underestimate steady progress. Billionaires understand that wealth doesn't usually explode overnight. It compounds slowly. Then suddenly, what looks boring in 1 year can become extraordinary after 20. Why recessions make these businesses even stronger. Economic recessions destroy many companies. Consumers spend less. Businesses cut costs. Investors panic. But essential service companies often survive far better. People still need electricity. Hospitals still operate. Garbage still needs to be collected. Businesses still require insurance. Buildings still need maintenance. These services don't disappear during difficult times. In many cases, demand barely changes. That's exactly why billionaire investors value resilience more than excitement. They don't ask, asterisk, can this company grow fast next year? Asterisk. Instead, they ask, asterisk, will this company still be making money 20 years from now? Asterisk. That single question changes everything. The billionaire formula. By now, a pattern is starting to emerge. The world's wealthiest investors aren't searching for the flashiest companies. They're searching for businesses with 4 powerful characteristics. First, people need the product regardless of the economy. Second, customers keep paying month after month. Third, The company can slowly raise prices without losing many customers. And finally, the business produces reliable cash flow year after year. Those four qualities have quietly created some of the biggest fortunes in history. And the best part? Most ordinary investors completely ignore them because they don't look exciting. Hashtag transition to part 4. But this isn't just theory. Some of the most successful companies in America have built billion-dollar empires using exactly these principles. Companies that collect trash, rent uniforms, inspect homes for termites, and rate corporate debt. The companies that quietly made billionaires. So far, we've talked about the theory. Now, let's look at reality. Because some of the biggest fortunes in America weren't built by inventing the next iPhone or creating the next social media platform. They were built by owning businesses that most people overlook every single day. Let's meet a few of them. Waste management, the billion-dollar business nobody wants. Imagine waking up tomorrow, and every garbage truck in your city suddenly disappeared. Within days, trash would pile up on sidewalks. Restaurants couldn't operate. Hospitals would face serious health risks. Entire neighborhoods would become unlivable. Garbage collection isn't optional. It's one of the few businesses society literally cannot function without. That's exactly why companies in this industry have such a powerful advantage. Customers don't buy garbage collection because they want to. They buy it because they have to. Most cities have only a handful of providers. That means very little competition. And once a business signs a contract, it rarely switches. The trucks already know the routes. The infrastructure is already in place. Changing providers is expensive and inconvenient. This creates predictable cash flow, month after month, year after year. It's not glamorous, but it's incredibly profitable. This is exactly the kind of business billionaire investors love. Rollins, making billions from bugs. Now imagine you discover termites inside your home. Ignoring the problem isn't an option, because every day you wait, the damage becomes more expensive. That's why pest control is one of the most recession-resistant industries in the world. Companies like Rollins don't sell luxury. They sell peace of mind. Homes need inspections. Businesses need compliance. Restaurants can't operate with pest problems. Hotels can't risk infestations. Hospitals demand strict sanitation. Whether the economy is booming or struggling, people still need pest control. And because treatments require ongoing inspections and maintenance, customers often stay for years. It's another example of recurring revenue hiding inside an industry most people rarely think about. The biggest investing mistake. Every year, millions of people spend hours searching for the next big thing. The next AI company. The next crypto boom. The next revolutionary startup. They're looking for businesses that might become valuable someday. Billionaires often do the opposite. They search for businesses that are already valuable today. Companies with real customers, real profits, real cash flow, real pricing power, and long-term demand. The goal isn't to get lucky once. The goal is to keep winning for decades. That's a completely different mindset. The quiet power of compounding. Imagine earning just a little more every year. Not 100%. Not 500%. Just steady growth. At first, it doesn't seem impressive. But after 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, that small advantage becomes enormous. This is the magic of compounding. It's slow. It's invisible. And then suddenly, it looks like overnight success. Most billionaire fortunes weren't built in a single breakthrough. They were built by allowing strong businesses to grow for decades. Patience created wealth, not excitement. The question that changes everything. The next time you hear about a startup promising to change the world, ask yourself one simple question. Will this company still be making reliable profits 20 years from now? If the answer is uncertain, be careful. Now ask the same question about a company that collects garbage, processes payments, supplies hospitals, or rents uniforms. Those businesses may never trend on social media, but they'll probably still exist long after today's hottest startup has disappeared. That's exactly why billionaire investors keep buying them. Not because they're boring, but because they're dependable. And dependable businesses often become extraordinary investments. There's a saying on Wall Street: the stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. Whether or not you're a billionaire, that lesson applies to everyone. The world teaches us to chase what's new, what's exciting, what's viral. But wealth is often built in places that nobody is paying attention to: behind warehouse doors, inside factories, on delivery routes, in businesses so ordinary, most people never notice them. And maybe that's the biggest secret of all. The companies that change your life aren't always the ones making headlines. Sometimes they're the ones quietly making money every single day. If this video changed the way you think about business and investing, subscribe to Curious Nation for more documentaries that uncover the hidden stories behind money, billionaires, and the companies quietly shaping the world. Because the biggest financial secrets are usually hiding in plain sight. Thanks for watching.